Welcome again, Algebra Bros. It's Mr. C here, and we are going to do one more example of rationalizing the denominator by using the conjugate of the denominator. Alright, so our expression involves all radicals. We have radical 5 minus radical 6 in the numerator, radical 5 plus radical 6 in the denominator. So even though we have some radicals in the top, remember that when we rationalize using conjugates, the conjugate is based on the denominator's expression. In other words, we want to focus on the expression radical 5 plus radical 6 when creating our conjugate. Keep in mind that it's pretty easy to do. You just change the middle operation, so our conjugate should be radical 5 minus radical 6. And that's going to get multiplied to the top as well. So now it comes down to simplification. In the denominator, as we saw in the last couple of videos, that's going to require FOIL. But there's also going to be a FOIL required in the numerator. That multiplication is set up much like a FOIL problem. So we've got 2 rounds of FOIL on deck. Let's go ahead and take care of it. I'm going to FOIL out the numerator first. We're going to do radical 5 times radical 5. That gives us the square root of 25. Then we have square root of 5 times the negative square root of 6. So first of all, positive times a negative is a negative. Since they're both square roots, by virtue of the product rule, we can multiply 5 and 6 together to get radical 30. We'll come back around to distribute the negative square root of 6 to each of these. So that's going to be negative square root of 30. And then negative square root of 6 times negative square root of 6. First of all, double negative, so a positive there. And 6 times 6 is 36. All right, we will simplify that in just a little bit. Let's now go ahead and FOIL the bottom. We're going to have radical 5 times radical 5. Again, giving us the square root of 25. And then square root of 5 times negative square root of 6 will give us negative square root of 30. Let's come back and distribute the square root of 6 to each of these. We're looking at plus square root of 30 minus square root of 36. Okay, now for the simplification. In the numerator, we have some perfect squares that we're taking the square root of, namely the square root of 25. We can write that as 5. And we also have the square root of 36, which we can write as plus 6. But now look at the 2 middle terms. They're actually like radicals here that aren't going to cancel. In fact, they're going to combine to give us negative 2 square roots of 30. In the denominator, we have the square root of 25, which is 5. We do have 2 middle terms that do cancel. They're both opposites of each other, so canceling happens this time. And then we have minus the square root of 36, so that's really 5 minus 6 in disguise in our denominator. And then we'll just clean up from here on out. On top, we can combine this 5 with this positive 6 to give us 11 minus 2 radical 30. On bottom, we can simply subtract 5 minus 6, giving us negative 1. So you'll notice that, again, in our denominator, after multiplying it by the conjugate, we have no more square roots. In fact, we're left with negative 1 here. So I want to let you know that the final answer will probably look a little different than this. If you're doing your work in my math lab, if you get an expression such as this, what's going to happen is the author is going to divide the negative 1 into both the 11 and the negative 2 here. And here's what allows that to happen. You can rewrite this as 11 over negative 1 minus 2 radical 30 over negative 1. And so we basically just split this fraction up into two separate fractions, each having a common denominator of -1. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and divide. So 11 over -1 is -11. And then -2 over -1 is +2. So we're looking at -11 plus 2 radical 30 as our final answer. And easy does it. So there it is for this example, Algebra Bros. Thanks for muscling your way through all the videos. Really appreciate you doing the notes this way. Of course, if you have any questions about any of the videos, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing you in class. Thanks.